Well, hello, all you beautiful people out there in Minecraft land. How are you today? I am fantastic. Thanks for asking. Anyway, you probably hear that glorious sound in the background. Let me just be quiet for a second. Yeah, that's the one. That's my air conditioner. I probably should turn it off when I'm recording because it's pretty close to where I actually record. It's probably, a good 4 or 5 feet away from the microphone. So you're definitely hearing it, and it probably sounds awful. But let's be honest, it is bloody hot outside. I don't know if you've been out there or not, but I have. And I'm sorry, I'm not turning it off. So you're just gonna have to put up with it. If it's if it's awful, I mean truly awful, then maybe in the next episode, after I edit this one and I realize how bad it was, then I won't do it again. But we'll see. For now, for this episode, I'm sorry to say, you're just gonna have to live with it. So just get used to the air conditioning sound in the background. So anyway, what am I going to be doing today? Well, I actually have 2 projects on the go for today. That's not one of them. This I did in the last episode. Last episode? I don't know. It was either last episode or the one before it. I don't know. I've lost track at this point. I think it was the last episode. But I noticed a bit of a flaw in that I have to manually, go into the farm and go around behind it and load bone meal into the farm. And I really wanted to kind of provide an upgrade for that. And so that is something that I did a little bit of building in creative, and I came up with some cool redstone and stuff. And so I'm going to do that today. I don't know if I'm going to do that on camera or off camera, but I will build it, and then I'll show you what it's all about. The other thing that I wanted to build today is going to be an on-camera build, and that's going to be a cocoa bean farm. I know I put cocoa bean farm and netherwort farm on the same sign here to make it look like they were going to be part of the same farm, but they're actually not. Netherwort is an entirely different thing, and so at some point I'll correct these signs. But to start with, let's start working on that upgrade. So this is the thing that I was talking about. Let's just say I needed to load bone meal into this farm. I would have to come through these doors and then cross this glorious waterway here, come all the way around back, and then kind of poke myself up to this chest right here. And you can see I've already used about half the bone meal that I had in this chest. There was a lot of bone meal that I loaded into this chest, and it's half gone. So what's the easiest way to keep this stocked? Well, I thought to myself, what if I had a water stream that sent bone meal up and then into some hoppers and into this chest right here. But then, as part of that, I also had an overflow system so that if this chest is full of bone meal, any additional bone meal that comes up here and doesn't fit in this chest anymore will just get passed back through into another water stream and go all the way over to my storage system. And so, luckily for me, I have a lot of that infrastructure in place already. So I'm going to start building. There we go, all done. So I figured it would be much easier to explain what's actually going on here if you can actually see the finished product. So let's start over here with this indicator light, which you might be saying to yourself, why is there an indicator light going straight into a wall? What good is that going to do? Well, actually, if you come outside the wall, there's actually 2 indicator lights, one on the inside and one on the outside. So there, that should solve that problem for you. Anyway, on the inside, this light is triggered from this redstone line, and this redstone line is coming out of that comparator, which is coming out of this chest. So basically, what it's saying is, if there is anything in this chest, turn on that comparator. But what's interesting is that this comparator line goes down, and you can see that the signal actually dies off. And it actually dies off right around here somewhere. And that's because this indicator light isn't showing me if there is something in the chest. It's showing me if there is, or if the chest is full. Because if the chest is full, this light will light up completely, and that'll turn this torch off, and then this will go out. So basically, if there's lots of bone meal, the chest will be full, this light will be off. If I'm running low on bone meal, which I am at the moment, because the chest isn't full, then this indicator light is on, and then I can look at it from a distance and see, hey, I need more bone meal. So that is the indicator part. The other part is, well, how does the bone meal get here? Well, let me, actually, I think the easiest way for me to do this is to actually go to where the bone meal originates. So I don't think I ever actually talked about this in an episode. I really don't remember. I put some chests in the floor here. And what you can't see in these chests is that underneath them, there are hoppers. And then underneath those hoppers, there are composters. And then underneath the composters, there are more hoppers. And then droppers, and then all of those droppers, automatic droppers, go into a water stream. And previously, I had that water stream just hooked up to this chest over here. So, or well, actually, it was hooked up to my sorting system, and then all of the bone meal was filtered through and would end up in this chest. But now, I have done something completely different. So let me take, yeah, see, I always end up with a lot of melons. So let me just do this. Let's get some melons in here, and maybe some more melons, and we'll put those in a different chest. And we'll get some, yeah, we'll get some composter action happening here. So let's get these in here. There we go. That should give us a good selection. Oh, it's night. Gotta sleep. All right. So now that the bone meal is being packed up, it should be coming, there it is right there. It should be coming up this water stream. And it comes up this water stream, and it flows across these hoppers, and it will go into these hoppers. And eventually, see if we can actually see what's happening here. There we go. These top set of hoppers here. Bone meal comes along these hoppers, and if I hover over one of these hoppers, there you go. You can see some bone meal coming through, and it goes across and down this hopper chain. Now here we have something interesting. I know I've talked about this before, but I'm just going to talk about it one more time because this is one of those interesting hopper mechanics. If you have a hopper that is feeding sideways, you know that hoppers will actually take items in this direction. I've got a data pack on, by the way, that shows me the arrow that indicates what direction hoppers are facing. Very convenient. It's available from vanillatweaks.com. Feel free to grab that. It's a very cool data pack, and it helps you out a lot when you're building redstone. Anyway, so bone meal comes along these hoppers, goes down to this redstone, but because there's a hopper underneath, there's this mechanic that says to a hopper, can you go down first? And if you can go down first, it goes down, and then it will load into this chest. And so that is why you're seeing bone meal increasing in this chest right here. However, if this chest fills up, and then this hopper fills up so that all of these slots are full, and it can no longer accept any more bone meal, then and only then will the hopper start passing items this direction and down into this hopper, all the way down into this dropper. And this dropper, oh, good. I thought I was stuck inside glass there for a moment. This dropper is just hooked up to an auto dropper system, you know, one of my favorite Minecraft circuits, so that any item that goes in here just gets automatically dispensed. And actually, let me see if I can show that to you. I'm sure I have some junk items. Yeah, let's just take some grass here. So if I just had some grass and dropped it in there, so we can pretend this is bone meal. And those items are being dropped down. And guess where they are going? They are going down underground and then over about this far, where they're dropped into a water stream that coincides directly with this water stream. That hole goes down underground, and there's a pipe that runs over, and this one basically drops pretty much right into that exact same pipe, and that feeds right back into the storage system. So what that means is, in case you hadn't figured it out, if I have bone meal, the very first bone meal that goes into that system from those composters will come up this pipe and try to fill up that chest. And if the chest is full, any overflow bone meal will make it back down and into my storage system. So there you go. And now on to project number 2, which involves this funny looking hole right here. And it does actually kind of look like I dug this out very sporadically and kind of randomly. And for the most part, that's kind of true. But then I went back and I filled it in, and I filled it in a very specific pattern because of what is coming next. So I'm going to need the things that are in this chest right here, and I will load them up as fast as I can. Try to keep talking while I'm doing it, but that's not always the easiest thing either. There we go. I got a bunch of things in my inventory, and now I'm ready to tackle the next big project. So hit that time lapse. Of time lapse. So what have I built? Well, I think I told you guys at the beginning of the episode what it was that I was going to build, and that is this thing right here, a cocoa bean farm. However, you might notice that there are no cocoa beans on this thing. Well, before I actually put the cocoa beans on there, I do want to kind of give you an overview of how this thing works. And the reason I want to do that is because I'm kind of proud of this design. It has an observer right here. And that observer is going to be monitoring a cocoa bean that I place right here. So let me just place a cocoa bean right here. So you can see that when I place that cocoa bean, this observer had a quick flash of an update. Well, let me go around this side and actually break into this machine, and then I will kind of show you what's going on. So that observer is actually hidden right behind this dropper right here. And if I take a look inside this dropper, you'll see there are 2 items. Every time that dropper fires, it's going to fire an item out into this hopper right here. So, for example, since I placed that 1 cocoa bean down right now, 2 items are here, but there were 3. Now, there is 1 stone item in here. Every time those cocoa beans grow, they'll cause an update to the observer, which will fire 1 additional item over here. And then eventually, when all 3 items have moved from this dropper into this hopper, then that redstone line, which is behind over here, this comparator will actually realize that there's nothing in there anymore, and it will turn off, which will turn this off, and 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 basically unlock this hopper and allow everything to flow back in. That's why there's a lot of delay on these hoppers, or these repeaters, by the way, just to allow enough time for all the items to move back in. But that's not all. If it was just sending items back and forth from a dropper to a hopper, it would be kind of boring. It's also going to turn this torch off for some amount of time, which is going to fire through this guy right here. And this is a I can't remember what you call these things. It's a one-shot. It's actually missing a repeater. I just realized that right now. So maybe while I'm talking about it, I'm going to run back over here and grab myself that 1 repeater. It's actually funny because I ended up with a repeater in my inventory and I didn't know what it was for. I'm like, why do I still have a repeater? And just noticed right now. So there we go. So this is, I can't remember what you call this. I call it a one-shot. It's a one-tick pulse. So basically, this torch turns on, this repeater turns on, which fires a pulse through this stone and into this repeater. But what's actually neat is that at the same time it powers this block, it powers this sticky piston, which pushes the block up, which stops the signal from going through to this guy. So basically what you're going to end up with is no matter how long this repeater stays on, and it will stay on for a while because of this delay, the output is just going to be a single one-tick pulse through this repeater. That tick goes over here to power a rail underneath this hopper, so this hopper minecart, and so that'll fire the hopper minecart down this track to go around and pick up all the cocoa beans that have dropped before finally returning. And you can see it's actually sitting on top of a hopper, which goes into an automatic dropper there. And again, if I just demonstrate this by putting some items in here, so let me just put like a few golden carrots in here. They get sent into that auto dropper. The auto dropper feeds down into water streams, which take it all the way to my storage system, as you're probably wondering. Now, the last part of this, which I haven't mentioned yet, is this sort of tower of glass and repeaters here, because I haven't mentioned how the cocoa beans actually get onto the ground yet. And as I said, as they grow, they're going to start to fire items out and into this hopper, and when the whole thing is empty, that basically means the cocoa bean is completely grown. Hopefully, that means all of the cocoa beans that I planted on the wall are also completely grown, and so this pulse will also power this wall of pistons, which is kind of hidden here, and that will actually push the entire wall over a block. So it shifts over a block and all of the cocoa beans pop off. Over here, we have kind of a little hidden circuit. You can't see it, and I'm not going to bother breaking into the wall, but suffice it to say, what happens is as soon as this wall goes over a block, there's another set of pistons over here that detect it's moved over, and they push it right back. So it's basically, it goes over and back. That's what happens. No, I didn't keep the cobblestone, so I can't even seal this back up again. Okay, but what I can do is I can sort of demonstrate what this whole thing looks like. I only have, I had 9 cocoa beans to begin with, so I'm just going to put them all on the wall right here. And then I'm going to hit them with some bone meal. So let's see, that one and that one. I'm just going to grow these up to max because there's no sense in harvesting them if they're not grown all the way up to max, right? Okay, so here we go. So this one grows up once. You can see the observer went, but nothing else is happening. But now there should be only one item left in that dropper, and as soon as I hit this with another bone meal, it will fire the third time. We'll see the whole shift. Then the hopper minecart will go on underneath and collect. So let's just see this happen. Boom. There it is. It breaks. You can hear the hopper minecart going. It goes back and forth, collects all of those items. There they are. And then let's see if I can get around here to see the minecart come back. Nope, I didn't make it, but that's okay. You can hear it. So the minecart got back and it is unloading cocoa beans, and they are all going into the storage system. So this is pretty cool. This whole farm is, as I mentioned, or maybe I didn't mention, it's my design. So I invented this. Now it is based partially on a design, or at least an idea, by CubFan135 from the Hermitcraft server, because he built a design that used basically cocoa beans in a line across the ceiling. And there was a lot of cocoa beans along the ceiling, but it did require a lot more observers and a lot more redstone components, and I really wanted to sort of simplify that down, and so I came up with this. And I'm pretty proud of it. It's pretty cool. There is one downside to this, of course, and that is when all the cocoa beans get harvested, they all get sent into the storage system, and so I don't have any cocoa beans over here ready to be planted again. Cocoa beans, unfortunately, they can't be automatically planted. They can be automatically harvested, but they can't be automatically planted. So I am going to have to run that farm as a sort of automatic farm. Did those cocoa beans make it through yet? No, they're still in my system. But once they get through, I'll be able to pick those up and plant them. And then, hopefully, at some point, I'll have enough cocoa beans to fill the entire wall. And there we go. After only 2 rounds of bone mealing a few rows of this stuff and then harvesting it and replanting it, I've already got enough to fill 1 entire side. I still have 33 in my inventory, but as you can see, I haven't done any on the other side. But just so you know, this does work equally well on the other side. So I could plant all of these on the other side as well. So let me just do that real quick here. I think in total, this wall will hold 96 cocoa beans, which is a stack and a half. So for a stack and a half of cocoa beans, I should get back somewhere between double and triple that number. So now I just need to grow this last cocoa bean, boop, up to full, and they all pop off. And then the harvesting begins, and I will let you know exactly how many cocoa beans I get from this full harvest. Well, full harvest of 1/2 anyway. Between the last clip and this one, I couldn't help myself. I ended up doing a full harvest, and then I replanted all of the cocoa beans on both sides. I bone mealed them all up, and I let it harvest. And then I took what was left and I planted them back on this wall. So basically, what I'm saying is what I have in my inventory right now represents the results of a full harvest of both sides of the sugarcane farm. And if you recall, what I said was that it is 48 cocoa beans per side. That is basically a stack and a half of cocoa beans. This right here represents what I planted on the wall. And this, everything I have, represents the combination of the harvest. So I got back my original investment plus 1 plus almost 2. So like I said, between double and triple, almost triple, I am, I guess, 8 cocoa beans short of having triple the cocoa beans back from what I planted on the wall. So that's pretty good. And that, my friends, is where I am going to end this episode. I know it was, well, not necessarily a short one, but I don't know. I feel like all I did today was build a cocoa bean farm. I guess I made some fixes to my to my wood and stone farm as well. But that's the way these things go sometimes. Sometimes you spend a long time thinking and a little time building, and this is what you end up with. So anyway, I always appreciate having you guys around, so thank you guys very much, and I'll see you in the next episode.